Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to go over gold and silver, take a look at the dollar 10-year yield and the companies, and give you my financial opinion. So let's dive right in. Looks like they're selling off right now, from what I can tell. We've got a weaker dollar, weaker 10-year yield. That's usually good for gold and silver, but they sold off today. Looks like I'll just look at the CRB. The CRB index is continuing to sell off. We are getting that larger pullback. This could be the first wave here, and then we'll get a pullback, and then we'll see what happens after that. But we are getting some selling pressure. We're getting selling pressure in gold today. It is pulling on back. I see silver coming under pressure. That does look like it wants to head lower there. Looking at kind of a bigger picture view on silver, if it can load. And we've got nice, good, strong support at about $18. So I do think it's a possibility that we come back and hit and tag $18 an ounce. Platinum's also pulling back. We're basically pulling back, not quite to the support lines yet, but we are getting there. We've got a support line at 867 and 890 or so, somewhere in that range. XAU to gold ratio is falling down. The gold and silver miners are getting hammered in relationship to the physical metals, and it looks like there could be further downside ahead of us in the mining companies. So Karora Resources, let's take a look at that first and work our way through a sample of mining companies. Again, this does not look like it's turning around yet. We're getting selling pressure. I do see a pattern where you basically get this topping pattern, and then we're going to have to go through another pattern and then ultimately go a little bit lower. So doesn't look to me like this is turning around yet. We still have selling pressure. It's happening around a bunch of different mining companies, getting more selling pressure here, still within that falling wedge pattern that we're back within. That's EXK. FSM, another more selling pressure today. SILJ getting some more selling pressure. Again, I do not see any buying pressure here to turn this around in the short term. I have to see evidence of buyers. I do not see that. We are continuing to head lower in a further sell-off in the mining companies. Looking at metallic minerals, this has a bearish engulfing here that looks like it wants to go lower. We've got Koya Silver moving sideways, Discovery Silver right at support. We'll see if that support line holds. First Majestic, it's very low in its bigger pattern here. We're getting down to a point where we're almost tagging the support line. Newmont selling off quite dramatically, still ending quite strong to the downside. Again, this does not look strong to me. Mag Silver down at support almost. Yamana Gold selling off, finishing strong to the downside, lots of momentum. Impact Silver down day to day. Aftermath Silver getting some buying pressure versus the other ones. PLG heading a little bit lower, right on support. We'll see if that support holds going across here. Siboney Stillwater selling off today, like the rest of them. Royalty companies, Sandstorm Gold selling off right at support, and we'll see if that support holds. Again, we've got a lot of momentum heading to the downside. I do think this could potentially head lower. Franco-Nevada selling off today. It's just selling off everything. Everything's selling off. This does look like we could potentially head quite a bit lower to the downside for Franco-Nevada. EMX right on support. We'll see if it holds. Teuton Resources selling off. Wheaton Precious Metals selling off. There's good momentum behind these selling pressure days, guys. They're finishing strong to the downside. We could see further downside in a lot of these companies. Gold Royalty, down day. Metalla Royalty going kind of flat. Mavericks Metals, it's still above the pattern, still looking okay. Royal Gold getting a little bit stronger sell-off today. Cisco Gold Royalty selling off quite strong, finishing strong too. Supporting the white line right underneath it at 980 or so. And then Altius Minerals basically gapping lower, coming back up a little bit with some buying pressure. Doesn't look too bad compared to some of the other ones. But overall, guys, looks pretty weak. Silver's looking really weak. We've got platinum pulling on back. That's kind of coming towards its support area. Gold selling off, and there's a lot of fear out there. I think a big fear of recession, a slowdown in inflation, and people are very fearful. Now, what am I doing? I'm not doing anything, guys. I'm not doing anything. Platinum's still cheap. That is a fact. We have a lot of people trying to make predictions out there. They're trying to predict where things are going to go, that we're going to predict an 80% decline and predict this, predict that. I just stick to what is a known fact based off of history. Platinum is cheap. Gold is cheap in relationship to other assets and money supply, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so is silver. Now, does that mean that we can't go down further? Yeah, we can go down further. It doesn't matter how cheap you necessarily are. But over time, over long periods of time, if you're buying things that are cheap with respect to ratios, that those will eventually revert to a mean or eventually become overvalued at some point. So if you were to buy undervalued assets entirely, and I'm not saying in one sector, but just an array of undervalued assets, when they are cheap, many of those will do well over the long term. Now, the market conditions are, in my opinion, they're not as favorable as before, but they're still favorable. So this can still all happen. It's just a lot of fear in the markets. A lot of people are scared that this inflation is abating or peaking. And I don't think the rates will remain high. The inflation rates will remain high. We will peak at some point, and I think head a little bit lower to a lower sustainable level. But they're still going to be higher than what they were before 2020. So I think that we'll have higher inflation rates. They might not be as high as they were previously, but they're still going to be higher than normal. And that will still do well for a lot of these commodity sectors. We're just in our first pullback, and I know people don't like pullbacks. They get nervous. They try to create narratives saying that it's over, it's done with. And right now, I don't see that on a long-term perspective. On the short term, though, yeah, I still think that we could see further downside and further pain until the buyers step in. And we haven't seen that yet. So that's where we're at right now. If you guys like the analysis, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website, Platinum membership below if you'd like to join. And we'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.